Hi, welcome to the Colorado Gold virtual conference, or whatever we're calling it. I know it's crazy this year, and I'm used to looking out at seeing all of your happy, encouraging faces, and I like to do an interactive presentation. But today we can't do that, so I am going to introduce myself, since we also do not have the handy helpful people who usually do that for us. My name is Carrie Schaefer. I also write as Carrie Ann King. I am the Writer of the Year for the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers of 2020, and I am so excited and honored to accept that. I have 9 books out in print. Most of them are traditionally published. A couple of them are indie. And I have number 10 is coming out this fall, actually, September 22nd. So in just a little bit. I get to talk to you today about newsletters. And I am going to share the screen here and go ahead and do a slide presentation, because I know with Zoom it's weird just sitting there staring at me and I can't see you. Normally I prefer, as I said, to do things really interactive and not necessarily do a lot of slides, but we're doing things a little bit differently today. So hang on one second while I get the screen share going here. And I'm just going to change this up so you can see it in the most effective way. And we want the slideshow. There we go. Just like that. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about today is how to email your way to a super reader community. Hey, you've got writing skills, let's put them to work. It makes a lot of sense to me to use email to reach our readers for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to get into all of that coming right on up. First off, who am I and what do I know about newsletters? So I'm going to tell you straight off the top, I am not the newsletter guru. And I'm going to give you a couple of names you can check into if you are looking for a newsletter guru. So why then am I here talking to you about newsletters? Well, I've been running experiments and playing around with newsletters for a few years now, and I have been studying with a couple of the newsletter gurus. So I have some great ideas, and I want to share with you what I've learned, because I really feel like what I have managed to accomplish with my newsletter, even though I don't have huge numbers at this point, is an interactive community where I have readers who are happy to get the newsletter, who often email me back, and we're developing what a lot of people would do with a street team. I didn't want to do a street team, and I like writing. It is something that, hey, we're writers, right? That's our gift. So this is what I've been doing. I currently I was up to about 1,300 subscribers, but I just went in and ruthlessly cut anybody who had not opened any emails within the last 3 or 4 months, because I feel like if they're not opening the emails, then having a huge list doesn't really do me any good at all. If you are looking for actual newsletter gurus, these 2 guys are amazing. Jeff Walker, who does a class called the Product Launch Formula. It's kind of pricey, but I really feel that it's worth it. He was one of the original newsletter people from way back, and he is always studying new things. He's a great teacher, great presenter, and so he has some really good stuff out there. I've also very recently bought a class from Mark Dawson, who teaches the self-publishing formula. And although it says self-publishing formula, it's not just for indies. There's a lot of great information in his stuff for traditional people to use as well. So he also teaches a lot on Facebook and Amazon advertising and that sort of thing, but he's got some great information about using a newsletter to do your launches and build your community. Those guys are really easy to find just Google them and they will pop right up. Also, Mark Dawson has a podcast, which is free. And he has a book as well. So you don't have to necessarily spend the money for his somewhat expensive classes, which in my opinion are completely worth the money that I paid. So what I will be talking about today, with a little extra here and there possibly, why every writer should have a newsletter, who should be on your newsletter list, and there's a hint, your ideal reader is who needs to be on your list. And we will be talking about how to find that mythical beast and actually recruit them to be on your list. How to build a list full of those readers, what to actually include in your emails, how to use your email to create a sense of community, and more. So for starters, yes, you really do want a list. I know a lot of you are like thinking maybe you don't want a list, and I thought that too for a long time, but I really, really have come to believe that we all want to have an email list. The reason for that is if you have an email list, it belongs to you. And if you're using software like MailChimp or I use Flowdesk or any of those services, it still does not belong to them. And a very good idea is to download your list on a weekly basis to make sure that if anything did happen, you still have those names and email addresses. The alternative to this is what some people have called crop sharing on social media. Now, the problem with that is this. You can get a lot of interaction and hits on Facebook and Instagram. I know Instagram is really hot right now for writers, but bad things happen. I have a writer friend who lost her Facebook page. She had over 10,000 readers who had liked that page and were interactive there. Facebook shut her down for some supposed violation, which I don't believe that she ever committed, but for whatever reason they thought she had. She lost that page, and all of those people. Fortunately, she also has an awesome newsletter. I also heard recently about an author who was on Instagram and lost upwards of, I think, 20,000 people had actually been following her on Instagram. And again, it was one of those things where there was a problem. The problem was reported, and instead of shutting down the bad person who was imitating her page, they actually shut down the real page, and she lost all of her people. So you just never know when one of those social media systems is going to go start running amok. Maybe they'll go out of business or they'll shut down your page. So if you have your actual reader contact and you save it on a regular basis, that's yours, and you can always find those people. Another reason, hey, writing is your strong point. You're a writer. So it's a natural marketing avenue for you to use that skill to be able to reach and connect with your reading community. It can be a very effective way to sell books, especially I think for indies, but also for those of us who are doing things more traditional, because if you do it right and you have an interactive list, you can reach your readers very, very clearly, and you can set up a little tease and some expectations and some hype so that when the day comes and you email them that your book is finally available, a lot of people are going to want to buy. It also allows you to cultivate relationships with readers. Now, lots of times we don't think about that with an email list. It's more like a lot of people have the idea that you just send out the list and it's a one-way street. But you can invite your readers to communicate with you and to respond to you and kind of develop a relationship with a lot of them so that it's a two-way street and they feel that connection with you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. So let's talk about the myth. Everybody hates email. And I probably most of you have at some time seen the old movie, You've Got Mail. And there we've got Meg Ryan actually looking really happy to have gotten some email in her inbox. Because here's the truth. We don't hate email. We only hate some email. There are people I am delighted to hear from. My really good friends, my agent, my editor, those are always really good emails. But there are also newsletters I'm on where I'm excited to get that email. And some of them are just sales things. There's a jewelry thing I subscribe to, and there's clothes that I like. And I actually kind of like when those sales emails pop into my inbox because they're things I'm interested in that I might want to buy. And if there is an author that I absolutely love and adore, and their new book comes out, I want that book. I want to know that it came out. And if there's somebody who makes me laugh or entertains me, I want to read that email. So this I stumbled onto back, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, maybe even, where I had started thinking about my newsletter list. And I signed up for an email, somebody, I can't even remember who it was now, who wasn't a writer, and it wasn't necessarily something I was even particularly interested in. I had just heard that this person did a good email. And sure enough, lo and behold, every Sunday morning when this email popped into my inbox, I was excited and happy to see it and eager to read it. So keep that in mind as we go ahead. You want to be the person that pops into your reader's inbox that they're excited to hear from. So let's talk about what people do hate in their inbox. So think about what you hate in their inbox, and it's probably going to be the same as most other people do. Spam, first off. If something shows up and it's not something I wanted, I don't remember signing up for this list, I haven't signed up for this list, it's something that I'm not interested in, I don't want that. I don't want to see emails from people I don't want to hear from, or I'm trying to hide from, or don't like. I don't want to see those emails. And did I mention the spam? We'll talk about this a little bit further going forward about how to avoid the perception of being spam in your reader's inbox. And a lot of that, again, is going to come back to figuring out who your perfect readers are and having those people on your email list. So right here, how do I find my newsletter people? There's this great big sea of people out there, and I'm sitting here at home with my computer, especially right now during COVID, and I can't go out and connect and go to all the conferences and meet all the people in person. How on earth am I supposed to find my newsletter people? So, very first thing, this is important. You're going to be tempted to skip over this. I'm always tempted to skip over this, but this is probably the most important step for any marketing that you're going to do as an author. Who is your ideal reader? And I strongly suggest that you take a few minutes to actually figure some of this out right now if you haven't done it already. As a matter of fact, you can pause this. That's one good thing about doing a presentation in this way, is you can pause right now at any time and get out a pen and some paper and do a little brainstorming about who your ideal reader might be. How old are they? I happen to know, because most of my books right now are with Lake Union, and they give me this lovely demographic, that most of my readers are women, and most of them are 45 years old and older. I know this. And also, those are the people that tend to hang out with me on Facebook or to respond to my email invitations to email me back. So I know that. And most of mine are women. Figure out what age and gender your readers may best be. What are their interests and hobbies? So, are they really into kids and family? Are they crime type people who really love true crime and solving mysteries? Are they into science? Are they science fiction people and really into comic books and cosplay and all of that kind of stuff? Figure it out. Where does this person hang out? In real life and online? think about it a little bit. Where are they likely to be? Who else do you think they might read besides you? There's some great resources for that, and I am not really equipped to talk about them right this minute. I should possibly have prepared some links for you, but you can hit me up after the fact. I'll give you my email and I can tell you what I do know. One thing is, if you do have books out already, check out the Also Bots on Amazon. That can give you some great information. What makes your reader happy? What annoys them? It's really helpful to come up with an individual, just like you would create a character. So to get away from that sort of amorphous crowd, which is really hard to write to, think of one person who is the ideal reader for you. Maybe even give them a name, figure out what they look like. Pick somebody that you do know. I had this total epiphany moment where I realized that I did have an ideal reader and I knew who it was. And then I could just think about this person whenever I was doing any marketing, which is just brilliant. But if you don't have that perfect reader, then create one. You're an author. You know how to create a character. So get one. Maybe have their picture on your computer when you sit down to write your emails so that you're thinking about writing to this person. I do have a book that is really helpful. It's called Attracting Perfect Customers, and it's by Stacy Hall and Jan, I don't know how you pronounce that, Brognies. And this book really, it's designed for people in business, but it can be really helpful for authors as well, because it walks you through a process of really figuring out who your perfect customer, or in this case, reader, is. So once you have your ideal reader in mind, the next question is, how do I get these people on my list? Right? That is the challenge. And it is a challenge and it's ongoing. One of the biggest things, invite people. A lot of us as authors, we don't want to bother anybody. We feel like our email list is going to be bothering people, so we just don't ask. The other extreme to that is there are writers who don't mind bothering people at all, and they just add people to their list without asking. You don't want to do that. We're going to talk about that maybe, I don't remember if we're going to talk about that later. I'm just going to say it now and maybe again later. Do not add anybody to your list without asking. When you start your newsletter, don't just dump everybody from your current email list into your newsletter list. This is a big no-no. It's actually illegal. So you don't want to do that. Plus, it will irritate people. You only want people on your list who really want to be there. Your ideal readers who are happy to get email from you. It's better to have 5 or 10 of those people than thousands of people who are annoyed to see your email pop into their inbox. One thing that a lot of people do that can be very helpful is offering something that is called a lead magnet. So just think about the magnet, which means it's effortlessly attracting iron to itself. And you want to be effortlessly attracting your ideal readers onto your list. So a lead magnet can be, if you're an indie person, then possibly a free book as an incentive that people get when they sign up for your newsletter. I currently have as my lead magnet a sample book that I created, and they can download it as either an e-reader or a PDF, which just has the first several chapters of all of my Carrie Ann King books, all put together in a nice format that they can then download and read. And at the end of that preview, there is a link to actually go buy the book if they want to read more. Some people offer a novella. There are people who, like, if you're into science fiction, you could offer a PDF of some kind of world building thing. There are all kinds of ideas. Get creative and use your imagination and figure out what your reader might like and how it would be easy to deliver. Now, getting delivery for those things, there are all kinds of ways to do it. I'm currently using BookFunnel, which is really, really awesome. There's just a link. They sign up for my newsletter, then they get an automated email that goes to them, and they can download the lead magnet immediately from that. The next thing, and a lot of us do not do this well, make your sign up for your newsletter obvious and easy to find. So you want it everywhere. If you have a website, and you should, it's on your website on every page, clear, easy to see, easy to sign up, inviting to sign up. Have it on your Facebook author page as well as a place where that they can sign up. If you're at a conference, encourage people to sign up. Make it as easy as possible and make it pleasant and make it clear that you are offering them something. They're not doing you a favor by signing up for your email list. You are going to deliver amazing email content to them. So they're getting something from you. This is a service you are offering them. So frame it that way rather than asking them, begging them, pleading with them to please, please sign up for your newsletter. Consider having your sign up on a landing page or a squeeze page. Now, let me tell you what those are. I just recently figured this out, actually. A landing page really technically is any page that the link will take them to. So it could be your website. But what you really want, especially if you're offering a lead magnet, is that they're going to come to a page where that is the goal. That is a page where nothing else is going on other than they are invited to sign up right there for your newsletter. And in exchange for that, they're going to get something if you figure out your lead magnet. Some people do what's called a squeeze page, and I don't have that going on currently right now, but only because it would be very difficult to do on my website. I do my own website through Squarespace, and getting rid of everything else on that page is kind of tricky, although I'm sure it's possible. What's called a squeeze page means when they click a link to sign up for your newsletter, when they get there, there is two choices. Sign up for the newsletter and get the free gift, or click away. On a real true squeeze page, there is no link to your bio or your books or anything else that could be a distraction. The reader is actually forced to make a choice to either sign up or go away. The reasoning behind that is that if they leave that page, the chances that you're going to see them again are actually pretty low. People visit the website page and then they're off in the internet doing other things, and you do want to try and get their information while they're there. So those are the reasons for doing that. Some of the website software like MailChimp, for example, provides landing pages. I'm with, like I said, with Flowdesk, and they currently do not have landing pages, but they are working on creating that and adding it in. So there are all kinds of solutions for that. I'm not going to get into that too much today because that's kind of advanced and not something that I'm going to talk about today. If you have ebooks published, and if it's possible to put a link to your sign up for your newsletter in the back, then totally do that and invite readers at the end of the read to click on that link and sign up for your newsletter so that they can stay in touch with you. Consider giveaways, but consider it cautiously. Remembering again that our goal is to get the people onto our newsletter list who are our ideal readers and who really want to be there. So if you're doing something like giving away a Kindle, everybody wants a Kindle, or at least most people, unless they hate Amazon or never read. And so people are maybe going to sign up for that, but then they're not going to really want to be on your list necessarily. Now, if you make it more specific, if you're giving away something that is much more directly connected to your books and what you write, then those people are more likely to stick with you and be your ideal readers. So think about it, but think about it carefully. Also, some people swap email lists, and I personally would not do that, because again, I am going to then be getting people on my email list who maybe don't want to be there. And again, it's illegal to add them to your list without their permission. So, and definitely buying lists, not a good idea, not at all a good idea. You could consider doing Facebook ads to bring people to your list. I'm experimenting with this right now, and it's actually going fairly well. Initially, it is a little bit of a cost expenditure, but every one of those people on your list has value as a potential awesome dedicated reader. So if you are doing a Facebook ad, there are two ways of doing that. One is actually a lead generation ad, which Facebook now does completely on site. I haven't done this one yet. I looked at it. I see how it works. I'm not prepared to be the person to tell you all about it, but there are other classes and ways of figuring that out. What I am running right now is a Facebook ad to bring traffic to my landing page sign up. And I'm actually experimenting with, I've created a quiz, and I have done that through, I can't think of the name, Interact. Interact creates quizzes, and I'm using their free software right now because I'm experimenting and I didn't feel like paying for it yet. But I made a little quiz, and the quiz is tell me what you like to read, and I'll tell you if if we're a perfect author-reader match or something to that effect. So they can do this little quiz, and then they get one of three results. So like, yay, you're a perfect match for my books, or, well, maybe we're not perfect, but you can take a chance. And you can do that by downloading my free sample and signing up for my newsletter. Or, nope, you are not going to be a good match for my list. Thank you for playing. And that right now, I'm getting a fair number of subscribers, by which I mean I'm paying about $5 a day for this, and I'm getting a couple of subscribers a day right now. And I'm feeling that at this point, I'm okay with that. It's an experiment, and it's valuable to me. I'll probably go in a little bit and try a different target market for my Facebook ad and see if that works a little bit better. Facebook ads are really complicated and confusing, by the way, or can be, and I'm sure there are other classes being offered through this wonderful program that you can take that are going to teach about Facebook ads. Again, I'm doing the Mark Dawson class that I mentioned earlier, and he is fantastic about Facebook ads. He really shows you step by step what to do. It takes time, it takes patience, and you have to remember to tell people, and also to get to that place of believing that, hey, you actually have something that your readers are going to be happy to get in their inbox, so that you're not feeling like you're burdening them. Okay, but what do I write? How often do I send? What format do I use? There are so many questions, and the answers are going to vary according to your preferred way of doing things, who your readers are, and more. So it depends on what works best for your ideal reader and what works best for you. I always say with marketing, the best marketing you are going to do is the marketing that is fun for you, that you will actually do. People respond to enthusiasm and excitement and joy. If you're having fun, then they're going to also have fun. So figure out what is going to work for you. What works for your genre? So, for example, I write, as Carrie Ann King, I write women's fiction. The readers for women's fiction, a lot of them really do like kind of a personal connection with the reader, with the author. And so I'm writing a very personal kind of story-based email that I send out once a week. I tell little stories about what's going on the property where I live. Every week I do a Tales of the Viking. My Viking is the wonderful man that I live with, who is supporting my career and is totally awesome, by the way. And they're loving hearing those little stories about him. I include little pictures. And then I also am going to talk about sales and new releases and all of those kinds of things as well. For my Carrie Schaefer self, those books have kind of been on hiatus, and I am about to start warming up the Carrie Schaefer newsletter. And that one, the books that I'm writing are a little weird. They're a little quirky. They're a little dark. And I'll probably be including some sort of funny, but a little bit dark and twisty thing every week. News from the weird and strange, that sort of thing. Probably keep it short, and it might not be weekly. That one might be a little bit less often. We'll talk about timing here in just a minute. How often you send out your newsletter often is going to depend also on how often you're publishing a new book. Because if you are only publishing once a year, or if you're not published yet, you certainly are going to need to keep your people engaged in between presenting those books to them. Now, people who are publishing, 6 new books a year, you may not need to put out a newsletter quite as frequently in between. So it just kind of, the answer is, for so many things, it depends. What you want to do is find the sweet spot of connection between you and your ideal reader. This is love at first sight right here, I'm sure. So let's talk about frequency. How often do I email? So first off, often enough that they know who you are and they don't think you're spam. So here's the thing, and I'm sure you've probably experienced this, where for one reason or another, I sign up for an email and then I don't hear anything from this person for months. And then all of a sudden they pop into my inbox and they're trying to sell me something. So how I respond to that is, you're spamming me, and I'm very often going to either unsubscribe from the newsletter, or one time I actually sent an email and I was like really angry that this person had emailed me and was sending me stuff. I must have caught me on a bad day. And apparently I had signed up at some point. So you want to be in the inbox often enough that your readers remember you and they know why they signed up, and you're on their mind and they don't have a chance to forget about who you are. But again, not so often that they are sick to death of seeing your email and they think you're spam. For, too much, too little, you want to find a balance. So you want the timeline that works for you. This is a golden opportunity to interact with your readers. You don't want it to be an odious chore. And that's really a big thing to remember. If you're going to do the newsletter, remember that readers are your bread and butter. They are your joy spot. Readers are the people who make our world go round. So we love them. We want to nurture them and cherish them and make them happy, not just so that they will buy our book one time, but so that they will be readers for a lifetime of all of our books. We really want to develop that community. So generally, probably at least once a month, and no more than once a week, unless you have a launch going on. And if you do have a new book coming out, then you can email them every day for 4 or 5 days and usually get away with that. Generally, if somebody unsubscribes, it's okay. They are not your ideal reader. And for whatever reason, this isn't working for them. As a matter of fact, I would make it easy for them to unsubscribe, to make it really an obvious choice, to encourage them to do so if they're not happy to be where they are, because you only want your ideal readers. So what do I include in my email? Something of value. And this is totally going to depend, again, on who you are, what you write, what you love, and what your readers love. But you want to make sure you're including something of value. You want to either entertain or enlighten or educate or uplift, whatever works for you depending on your audience. Figure it out. Often it's going to be what you love. So think about that. But you can ask them. that's one of the things that Mark Dawson actually does, is he sends out a survey through SurveyMonkey and asks a lot of questions of his readers. They, of course, are eligible for a really nice reward for that. So he has so many books out. He gives away several books to people who take his survey. You can include doing frequent, inexpensive contests or giveaways. If you have books out and are not doing this already, some people aren't aware that if you have a book on sale in the Kindle store, you can go in and grab multiple copies for giveaways to give away at a future date to your readers. So I have a bunch of my books that I picked up for 99 cents. To do one giveaway a week on my newsletter, it keeps people opening emails and it makes them happy, and it costs me 99 cents. Include all your book news. So if you have something exciting, you are going to want to talk about that. Show them your cover. Show them your cover first. Let them feel special. That's the other thing about building that newsletter community. Let your readers know that if they're on your newsletter, they are special to you and they get first dibs, they get exclusives, they get things before anybody else, or they get things that nobody else gets. And that could be exclusive excerpts, it could be your first cover release, it could be, you can't even, if you're indie, it can be sales that no one else has access to, or it can be giveaways that nobody else has access to. Let them know how your writing is going. Ask for their input. That's another thing. Let them know for sure if you have sales going on, if you have appearances or events where people can maybe come and see you in a physical sense, or online, especially these days. Most of us are not doing physical appearances right now. And when you have your book launch, you're definitely going to want to use your newsletter list. So a little bit about the best newsletter service, and this is very individual and there are so many options. A few things that you're going to want to look at is cost. There are some free options for getting started. MailChimp has a free option for getting started. That's where I began. They start charging you, I think, when you get up to 2,000 subscribers. So that's a great way to begin. Some of the others are more expensive, but they all do different things. So you want to consider cost, what your budget is available, what kind of marketing data they give you. So statistics, how many readers are opening your email, how many are clicking on the links, all of that kind of stuff is very valuable. You want an email software that is reliable and secure. Think about appearance. One of the reasons I went with Flowdesk is because it's just this beautiful layout where it's kind of built around pictures, and then I use those to tell a story. It's kind of informal. I can put cursive writing next to the pictures, and it just kind of has the feel of me telling a story to my readers, and I really like that. You want something that's easy for you to use. Think about integrations with other programs and software. You can integrate sometimes with your website or with Facebook or with advertising programs. It's an important thing to consider. Automation is hugely important. I would never again use an email server that did not provide automation, because here's what you can do with automation. If somebody signs up for your newsletter, you can set up that they automatically then receive an email from you at whatever time you want. It can be immediately, it can be a day or two down the road, welcoming them, thanking them for being part of the email. You can send them automated emails at intervals, giving them special things, encouraging them to engage with you, whatever you wish to do with that. And you can create flows where if they do one thing, then another thing happens. So automation is really super cool and very fun to play around with. Some have landing pages and some do not. You can get around that by doing landing pages elsewhere, but it is definitely something to consider. Some of the commonly used newsletter services, MailChimp, everybody probably knows about MailChimp. Aweber is one, Constant Contact. Squarespace, if you use Squarespace for your blog and your website, they also do have a newsletter service available. Now, I tried that, and it's very nice, actually, as far as the interface goes, and it does have automation. My problem with Squarespace was it was actually kind of pricey. I wanted to do it because I was looking for easy, so I was thinking I could blog, and then that you can pull your blog directly into your newsletter on Squarespace, and it's right there ready to go. So I was thinking double duty. I can blog and then use the blog as the newsletter, but it was really expensive for me. And so I chose not to do that. Like I said, I'm currently using Flowdesk, which is a new kit in town. I love it. I'm really, really happy with it, as a matter of fact, and they keep adding new features, which makes me happy. There's MailerLite, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, all of those things. So how do you use your email to create those super readers? I think the most important thing is remembering that you can initiate two-way interactive communication. So it really is very much like a street team in some ways. I discovered when I had my advanced copies of A Borrowed Life come out, I did giveaways for a few weeks exclusively to my email list. And in order to enter, I asked them to do things for me. I asked them to share with people. I asked them to sign up for BookBub. People really like to have an advanced copy, and they were very, very receptive to doing things just for a chance to win a book. Since then, I've asked for input from them also as an entry to how do you think I should conduct my launch party? What do you love about launch parties? What would make you want to come? What kind of swag do you like? All of those kinds of things you do with your readers, it creates a connection. They're used to responding to you. They feel closer to you, and therefore they're more likely to want to help you out and buy your book. Another thing that I do is on my automatic email that they get when they sign up, I ask them, hey, reply, email me, tell me a little bit about you. This is really one-sided. You're getting email from me, and I would love to know what brought you here. What do you love? What's your favorite? What are you reading right now? Any little thing about you. And I've had a lot of readers email that they just loved that I had asked them that. If somebody does email you or respond to one of your emails, reply to them. Find time, make time. You're cultivating a relationship. This is really important. Super readers are gold. If you have one reader who loves you and loves your books, and every time you have a new book come out, is going to go out there and tell everybody about it and post about it in all of the reader groups and invite their friends to read your book, you want those people. They are gold. So spending time and a little bit of money to build those, I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to do that. So making time to reply to everybody who replies to your emails. Make them feel valued and appreciated. They are important. Let them know that. Go ahead and purge out those readers who are not ideal. If you look at your open rates and links clicked, if you have people who have never since day one opened an email, they're not doing you any good. And if you are on one of the plans where you pay more for more subscribers, then they're kind of dead weight and they're actually costing you money. So go ahead and you can just take them off the list yourself. You don't have to wait for them to unsubscribe. I did this, it was a little painful, and I did it with a drink in hand, but I went in a few weeks ago and I just took all those people out. I don't need them. They're not helping me. They also mess with my statistics. I want my active readers on my list, and then when I send out an email and I look at open rates, then I have a much more accurate idea of how successful that email was. So I already talked about this before. Reward your email subscribers. Give them exclusive information or deals or early breaking news, subscriber only giveaways or events, or, you can, as I said, Mark Dawson does this. He actually sends out a survey to them. What did they love? What did they buy? Would they buy another book? All those kinds of things can be extremely helpful. But creating that community where they feel that you are speaking to them and that they can then connect with you is huge. Especially, I think, for some markets, women's fiction, romance, young adult, possibly more. But even with the suspense and the thrillers, those people also still want to feel valued and like they have special access to you. Everybody wants to feel like they have special access to somebody that is important to them, right? So that is a really useful thing to be doing. So let's talk a little bit about the actual launch, the art of the launch. Once you have cultivated your readers and they know that they're important to you, they feel connected to you, they're used to responding to you, emailing back to you, knowing that your emails come out, they know who you are. Hopefully by now they've read some of your books, they know they love you. Coming up to release day, then you are going to want to send out your email more than just the day of release. Come up with a series of emails leading up to that day. So maybe 4 days or even 5, one a day until the big day. You can do a giveaway and ask them to do things for you, to share with friends, anything like that. But what you really want to do is tease and entice. So you can include a small excerpt every day in the email that you're sending. You can remind them of why they want to read your book. So really think about it. What are you offering them? Why would they want it? What's the experience of the book? This is really, when we're marketing books, it's the experience of the book. How am I going to feel as a reader? What adventure am I going to be on? What am I going to feel? What's the emotional journey? Letting people know what that's going to be before the book comes out. Tease them with some experts. Post some social proof. So one way of doing this that works really well is to catch screenshots of any social media excitement that's already going on from early readers and reviewers. So if you have people who have, said something on Facebook, wow, this book is absolutely awesome, go ahead and take a screenshot of that and share it with your newsletter. Let them know that other people are loving your book. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can make pretty little pictures. I love doing Canva for doing graphics, and you can quote some of your readers, put those quotes in there, share the excitement and the belief that other people love this book. We all have that fear of missing out thing, right? The FOMO. So what you want is for your readers to believe that there are tons of other people out there who are very excited about buying your book. Maybe they've already pre-ordered. So any evidence you can present to them of this is really helpful. And then remember, buying your new book is an opportunity. These are your ideal readers. They want your book. Just like, who's your favorite author? Who do you buy that new book the minute they come out? I'm thinking about how we all were with the Harry Potter books when they were coming out. People lining up to go to the bookstore to buy that book as soon as it was available. Who's your author like that? Why do you want to buy that book? What makes you want to get it right away? Think about that, and then think about how you can share that with your ideal reader who is here because they love you and want your book. Thank them for their support. Make sure that you do that. Even if they didn't buy, they have been here on your list. Maybe they've told a friend, maybe they've shared something. Thank them. Thank them, thank them, thank them. You cannot let them know your appreciation enough. In the end, the biggest thing is this: keep it fresh, keep it fun, and keep it growing. If you start getting bored, then it's time to shake things up a little bit. What else could you do? What could you change? What could you add? You will find as you go that the older your list is, the less likely those people are to actually open emails. It's just part of the email world. A lot of your newer subscribers are more likely to open more actively, so keep that in mind. But maybe if you switch things up a little, if you provide something new or interesting, then those people will also open their emails. I am available to answer questions in my email, since we're not able to do a question and answer here in this class. You can find me at contact@carrieschaefer.com. If you want to see what I'm doing with my Carrie Ann King newsletter, it's really obvious at carrieannking.com. And also you can find the Carrie Schaefer newsletter, not quite as obviously because I'm still playing with that, at carrieschaefer.com. You can find me on Facebook as myself, Carrie Schaefer. If you are a writer and you request to friend me, I will friend you back. My author page for Carrie Ann King is author Carrie Ann King, and as Carrie Schaefer, my page is Carrie Schaefer Books. Those are the places I most hang out. I'm really delighted to have been able to present this to you today. I hope you are getting a lot of great information out of this fantastic free conference material that is being provided to us. I love that our organizers have gone to the trouble of making this all possible. So be safe out there and have fun. That's my very last thing to tell you. Whatever you do with this, make it fun. That is the single most important thing you can do. All right, that's it for me. Bye.